Day 7. A new dawn breaks over Washington, but the city feels frozen in time, its streets eerily quiet, as if holding its breath. The silence on Capitol Hill is more than just the absence of voices. It's a heavy, almost tangible presence, echoing through the marble corridors and empty chambers. It's October 8, 2025, 7 days since the US government shut down, and the effects are rippling far beyond these walls. The usual hum of Washington, D.C., the traffic, the chatter, the energy has faded, replaced by an uneasy quiet that blankets the city. Grand buildings, once bustling with activity, now stand as silent monuments to a system at a standstill, their facades hiding the turmoil within. Tourists, who traveled from across the country and around the world, find locked doors at the Smithsonian and other landmarks. The city feels hollowed out, its heartbeat slowed. On Capitol Hill, only a skeleton crew remains. Security guards, a handful of staffers and maintenance workers, moving quietly through the halls, fatigue and frustration etched on their faces. The real action, if it can be called that, is happening behind closed doors. Party leaders are entrenched, negotiations have stalled, and the sense of urgency grows with each passing hour. Outside, blame and political posturing fill the airwaves. News anchors dissect every move, while ordinary Americans watch anxiously, wondering how this will affect their lives. This isn't just a pause, it's a fracture in the machinery of government. Offices sit empty, equipment unused, and the gears of bureaucracy grind to a halt. The shutdown began at midnight on October 1st, triggered by a failure to pass crucial funding bills. What started as a political standoff has become a national crisis. A deeply partisan budget battle has left both sides unwilling to compromise. The divide is not just political, but personal, with trust eroding on all sides. Across the country, federal services grind to a halt, national parks are closed, passport applications are delayed, and vital research is paused, leaving countless plans and projects in limbo. For many Americans, this is more than an inconvenience. It's a crisis that disrupts daily life, threatens livelihoods, and sows uncertainty about the future. As the second week begins, the question is not just when the shutdown will end, but what lasting damage will remain, both to the government and to the trust of the people it serves. The silence in Washington masks a growing chaos that touches millions, a reminder that when government stops, the effects ripple far and wide, leaving a nation waiting for answers. The anatomy of a shutdown, why we find ourselves at this critical juncture in American government. A government shutdown occurs when Congress fails to pass the necessary funding bills by the October 1st deadline, leaving federal agencies without the money they need to operate. While essential services like air traffic control and national security continue, hundreds of thousands of federal employees are either furloughed or required to work without pay, creating widespread uncertainty and hardship for families across the country. The current impasse is a textbook example of divided government and deepening political polarization, with both major parties locked in a standoff. At the heart of the conflict are fierce disagreements over spending levels, how much money should be allocated to different programs and priorities. Added to this are controversial policy riders, provisions tacked onto must-pass funding bills that often have little to do with the budget itself, but serve as bargaining chips for lawmakers. Each side blames the other, accusing opponents of holding the country hostage for ideological gain, while the public watches the blame game unfold. Compromise remains elusive, as lawmakers increasingly cater to their most vocal political bases, fearing backlash if they appear to give ground. The rise of partisan media outlets, each amplifying their side's narrative, along with the growing influence of special interest groups, has made honest negotiation more difficult and the atmosphere in Washington more toxic than ever. This shutdown is not just a temporary crisis, it's a symptom of a deeper dysfunction that has taken root in American politics, eroding trust in government. The distinction between essential and non-essential workers creates a two-tiered system of hardship, with some forced to work without pay and others sent home, all facing financial strain. Even those whose jobs are critical to national safety and daily life, like air traffic controllers, law enforcement, and Coast Guard members, are left in financial limbo, uncertain when their next paycheck will come. A week of political theater. The first week has been a relentless PR battle. The president blames the opposition, highlighting harm to military families and citizens. Congressional leaders counter, claiming they're fighting for fiscal responsibility. Both sides use press conferences and social media to shape the narrative. Behind the scenes, negotiations are sporadic and unproductive. Each side waits for the other to blink, while federal workers and the public pay the price. The media amplifies the conflict. creating echo chambers and deepening divides. Lawmakers use platforms like X to bypass traditional media and rally their supporters. The political theater isn't just for show, it prolongs the shutdown and hardens positions. The real cost is borne by those outside the halls of power. The economic tremors begin. What starts as a political standoff quickly ripples through the heart of the nation's economy, sending shockwaves far beyond the halls of government. The shutdown's impact is a slow-moving wave, already felt in lost income for 800,000 furloughed workers. For many, paychecks are suddenly paused, forcing families to make tough choices about which bills to pay and which expenses to cut. Local economies, especially in D.C., are hit as consumer spending drops. Restaurants, shops, and service providers see fewer customers, and the usual bustle of daily life fades into an uneasy quiet. Small businesses reliant on federal workers feel the pinch. Owners worry about making rent, paying employees, and keeping their doors open as revenue dries up. Economic uncertainty grows. Markets show volatility, and investors grow wary. The stock market reacts to every headline, and the sense of instability spreads to Wall Street and Main Street alike. The shutdown erodes confidence in the government's ability to manage its finances. Tense negotiations and political gridlock only deepen public anxiety, making recovery seem even further away. Key economic data is delayed as agencies like the Bureau of Labor Statistics close. Without regular updates, it becomes harder to track the true state of the economy. Without this data, businesses and policymakers are left in the dark. Decisions about hiring, investment, and planning become guesswork, increasing the risk of costly mistakes. Government contractors see projects halted and payments delayed. Workers are sent home, and critical infrastructure improvements are put on hold, creating a backlog that will take months to resolve. Tourism suffers as parks and museums close. The housing market slows as mortgage processing stalls. Families cancel trips, and homebuyers face frustrating delays, further dampening economic activity. Each impact adds up, dragging on economic growth. The longer the shutdown lasts, the deeper the scars on local communities and the national economy. Economists warn a prolonged shutdown could shave points off GDP. The cost is measured not just in dollars, but in lost opportunities and shaken confidence. It's a self-inflicted wound with lasting consequences, a reminder that political stalemates can leave real and lasting marks on the lives of millions. This isn't America's first shutdown. The modern shutdown era began in the 1980s, after new interpretations of the Anti-Deficiency Act. Before then, agencies often kept running during funding gaps. Notable shutdowns include 1995-96, when Clinton and Gingrich clashed for 27 days. Public opinion eventually blamed Congress. In 2013, a 16-day shutdown over the Affordable Care Act saw Republicans' approval ratings drop. The longest shutdown, 2018-19, lasted 35 days over border wall funding, causing severe hardship for workers. Each time, the parties seen as responsible paid a political price. Shutdowns rarely achieve their policy goals. They're politically risky, economically damaging, and leave lasting scars. History shows brinkmanship comes at a high cost. Behind the politics, the human cost is profound. Hundreds of thousands of federal employees face sudden financial distress. These are scientists, park rangers, clerks, and inspectors, many living paycheck to paycheck. A single mother at HUD, now furloughed, scrambles to pay rent and feed her kids. Essential workers, like air traffic controllers, must work without pay, distracted by financial worries. The promise of back pay offers little comfort when bills are due now. Contractors and small businesses, dependent on federal work, are collateral damage. Cafes near federal buildings lose customers overnight. The shutdown's ripple effects create widespread anxiety and hardship. The real-world consequences of political failure are felt far beyond Capitol Hill. The shutdown's impact on public services is immediate and widespread. National parks and monuments are closed, ruining vacations and hurting local economies. Hotels, restaurants, and shops in gateway communities see revenue plummet. Routine government functions, passport processing, business loans, farm assistance are delayed or suspended. The CDC and other agencies can't respond fully to public health inquiries. Scientific research and environmental protection stall as agencies like NIH and EPA halt projects. Clinical trials are delayed. Environmental inspections are suspended. Even short interruptions can irreparably damage long-term research. The justice system slows, with civil cases postponed and law enforcement support staff furloughed. The government's ability to enforce laws and administer justice is weakened. The shutdown exposes the fragility of systems we often take for granted. Everyday life is disrupted in ways both visible and invisible. The world is watching America's shutdown. Allies see a superpower paralyzed by internal strife, questioning U.S. reliability. Adversaries like Russia and China use the chaos as propaganda, touting their own system's stability. The shutdown erodes trust and weakens alliances built over decades. Economic uncertainty in the U.S. sends ripples through global markets. Foreign investors grow wary. Central banks reconsider U.S. Treasury holdings. Prolonged brinkmanship damages America's economic credibility. Diplomacy suffers as new initiatives stall and crisis response is hampered. The message: America is distracted by its own divisions. This creates a power vacuum on the world stage. A shutdown is a self-inflicted wound, weakening U.S. leadership abroad. The world wonders if America can still be counted on. The consequences extend far beyond our borders. As Day 7 ends, the path forward is uncertain. Public pressure could force a short-term funding deal ending the immediate crisis, or the shutdown could drag on, deepening economic pain and political polarization. Historically, the party blamed for the shutdown pays a price. But will that hold in today's climate? The outcome will shape the next election and the future of governance. This crisis forces us to ask, who is responsible when government fails? The end of the shutdown is just the beginning of a larger reckoning. What needs to change? Let us know in the comments below.